What do you want to be when you grow up?
I want to be a lawyer.
I want to be a teacher when I grow up.
Elementary teacher.
An author.
Police. Poet. Heart surgeon.
Neurosurgeon. Cardiologist.
Gynecologist. Pediatrician. The kid's doctor. Pediatrician.
It isn't true that we have a meritocracy because people do not start on the same line, right? Some people get a head start and some people start way before the starting line, and then everyone's like, well, it's a race. Whoever makes it to the finish line first wins. But come on, like some people are not even running.
It's called the Achievement Gap, and the news is grim.
The rich get richer and the poor get poorer in the education system.
Traditional learning was tailored towards white, Caucasian students.
So it should be called what it is, systemic oppression.
We need to be looking at how inequity is happening, how injustice is happening in our classroom.
Most of us would recognize it as differences in class, differences in income, differences in access to wealth.
When I think about achievement gaps, I think that they're just these big structural differences between the average achievements of groups that really should be performing at about the same level. It's a reflection of not giving kids the opportunity that they need to be what they could be.
10 million students in America's poorest communities are having their lives unjustly and irredeemably blighted by a system that consigns them to the lowest performing teachers, the most run-down facilities, and academic expectations and opportunities considerably lower than what we expect of other students. What's become of the American dream? Despite growing up with economic hardships, do you still have the opportunity for prosperity and financial success through hard work?
We have a 30-point gap in the number of students in our public schools that graduate college ready who are black versus those who are white. That gap is almost identical in the number who have a college degree in our community. Those gaps, what's most disturbing, I think, is that those gaps have been there for decades and things are not changing, despite good intentions.
With this faith, we will be able to work together, to pray together, to stand up for freedom together, knowing that we will be free one day.
It started in the early 1970s, and Denver was found to have deliberately segregated African American students.
However, my first day coming in, you can tell by looking at the kids that Brown versus the Board of Education did not desegregate schools. Because there is no reason that you should have two public schools within 10 miles of each other where you have one school that is 60% white and another school that's 60% black. And that right there shows you there's something going wrong.
We are a Title I school, and though we do not set our students up to fail, given some systematic issues that are occurring within GCPS, they are in a situation where they're not being prepared to be successful. They do not have fair access to success. Many of our students, their average reading level is at a third grade reading level. That is unacceptable. That means that they have been passed on from grade to grade to grade to grade without necessarily having those skills. They're just being passed through a system.
A lot of kids, and I don't want to make broad generalizations, but a lot of parents of the students I had multiple jobs. So maybe they worked a full-time job and then a part-time job. They weren't home for homework time. Like, I'm lucky enough to be home with my kids and help them with homework. That didn't exist. And that's one of those directly connected to socioeconomic things. When the parents are having to work several jobs and they're not there for their kids, they can't help them. And it kind of creates this cycle of over and over again, like, now those kids are going to grow up behind, and then they're going to have children who like kind of grow up behind, and it's like.
And so chances are, if you even make it and finish high school, you're gonna, maybe get into college, maybe not, maybe a 2-year college, maybe you won't at all, and so you just have to go get a job. and you just get a job, a low-paying job somewhere, and you get married and you have a baby, and now your baby is growing up in a low-income family, and the entire cycle perpetuates. It starts to wear you if you're the kind of person who says, you know, I thought that there was a meritocracy. I thought that this was a system where everybody gets a chance, and it's a lie. And you realize that it's a lie.
I think the biggest lie our kids are told is the lie of the American dream for a lot of them.
It is unfair when someone's a child, they just trust that society as a whole, that their parents, that the community will take care of them. And by the time they become an adult, they're 18, then they're like, okay, I'm ready to kind of take on the reins, and I can go to college, I can work hard. But they get there and they're like, I'm unprepared. That is actually a mistake, a failing of society as a whole. Every one of us is at fault for every child that reaches that point and cannot succeed.
I think there is nothing more important we can do to produce the type of society we want than to raise outcomes in the field of education, so that knowing somebody's race or ethnicity tells you nothing at all about what their test scores or grades or occupation might be.
So what can we be doing to hold our institutions accountable for changing those numbers?
So let me put Teach Kentucky in the context of the achievement gap.
Yeah.
So we're recruiting people that are bright and talented, and we're recruiting them nationally. So they're new to the community. So it's a net new add of intellectual talent that we're bringing into with a purpose and desire to start an education career. So these are all people that are committed to being educators over the long haul, and we're getting those careers launched here in this community. They also come with both the understanding and the dedication that they're going to be on the front line in addressing this issue of student achievement at the low end in our public school system. All of them were high achievers themselves.
That is our job as trained individuals, as again, the institutions that are supposed to have the knowledge of child development, of the content, et cetera, to again be able to bridge the gap. It's never supposed to be on just the parents. I have seen my babies grow into young men from 7th to 8th grade, because again, it does work when you love up with them, and that love stays with them. A lot of our 6th graders come to us really rough around the edges. There's a lot going on there. So I ran into one of my 7th graders, and he was like, Miss Ballard, are you gonna have this one student for 6th grade? I'm like, not yet, I think they're coming to me next year. And he had said, like, good, Miss Ballard, because he won't be bad once you get him. He's gonna be good like I was after you got done with me. So I'm like, yes! Yes! They don't realize it until a whole year later that just the standards that I hold them to, the work that we do, that crap matters. They don't realize it then and there, but they realize it later, and I appreciate that, and that's what keeps me going.
I think that's the biggest thing that 55,000 Degrees is doing, is bringing the different partners together around the table and saying, let's look at this data together, let's dig into root causes, and let's figure out how resources and finances can be moved to help change those outcomes. Our goal is to be able to say to every graduating JCPS student that you will be able to attend the 2-year community college free.
And we realized, wow, there's a real lack of programs in the middle school years. And if we can get to students earlier than high school, we have a better chance of ensuring that they will succeed in high school. And so I think there's a real minority of programs in those middle years, and I think that that's often overlooked. And I think that's where the future of education is going, to fill in that particular gap.
My suggestion is what we should be looking for is how do we raise the achievement of every student to their fullest potential. And so now we're measuring against a different benchmark. We're measuring against a benchmark that's related to people and their unique ladder, as opposed to an arbitrary or statistical outcome. Running in a race where they can compete well, instead of running in a race that they'll never be able to compete.